Hi, this is Alex from devstories.eu, OpenAPI and Swagger Ecosystem, Episode 8 of 19. Most developers document the happy path, but true API resilience comes from strictly defining exactly how things will fail. If you only tell clients what happens when everything goes perfectly, your API is only half documented. Today we are looking at expectations and error responses. In OpenAPI, responses serve as the ultimate contract guarantee. They formalize a promise that if the client sends a specific request, the API will return a known payload or a structured error. This promise is handled by the responses object. Think of it as a routing table for outcomes. The keys in this map are HTTP status codes written as strings, such as the text 200 or 404. The values attached to those keys are individual response objects, which detail exactly what comes back to the client over the wire. Here is the key insight about formatting these objects. Throughout much of OpenAPI, description fields are completely optional. You use them when you want to add helpful context for other developers. In a response object, the description field is strictly required. If you leave it out, your entire API definition becomes invalid. It does not need to be a long paragraph. A short, accurate phrase explaining the outcome is enough, but the parser will enforce its presence. Consider a practical scenario where a client requests a specific user profile. For the successful outcome, you define a key for the string 200. Inside that response object, you provide your mandatory description, perhaps stating successful user retrieval. Next, you define the content field. This field maps a media type, most commonly application/JSON, directly to the schema that defines your user object structure. The client code now knows exactly what to expect when the call succeeds. That covers the expected outcome. Now you must document the failure. Under the same responses object, you define another key for 404. The required description might simply read user not found. Just like the success case, the content field here maps application/JSON to your standardized error structure. Because of this explicit contract, the client application can safely parse the error response and display a helpful prompt to the end user instead of crashing on unexpected data. There will always be cases where you cannot predict every single error code your architecture might produce. A reverse proxy might throw a 502 bad gateway, or a web application firewall might inject a 403 forbidden. This is where the default wildcard comes in. Instead of a numeric HTTP status code, you use the exact word default as the key. This acts as a catch-all definition. If the server returns any status code that you did not explicitly list in the responses object, the client falls back to the structure defined under default. It acts as a safety net for generic error handling, ensuring the client still knows how to read the error payload. A truly robust API definition doesn't just explain the perfect scenario, it provides a precise, predictable map for every possible way the system can fail. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me. Until next time, take it easy.